This panel provides the opportunity for us to hear about practical approaches to helping young people develop the capacity to engage in data collection and advocacy while helping them increase their employability. We hope to have time to answer a few questions a bit later, so please keep them in mind. But before we continue, I'm going to invite our amazing panelists to join me on stage. Come on up.
Hey, hey.
And while they're getting seated, I'm going to invite you to better understand this context. Next slide, please. So if you are able to, please click on the QR code on the screen. So use the QR code and join me on Mentimeter. You can also go to menti.com and use the code 9673661. I'm going to give you another moment. I see some of us are still clicking on the QR code. I'm going to give you another 10 seconds. Awesome. We're going to now shift to the Menti poll. And so our first question is, how many jobs is AI projected to displace by 2025? How many jobs do you think AI is projected to displace by 2025? 25 million, 80, 50, or 70? So believe it or not, at a minimum, AI is projected to displace 83 million jobs by 2025, and millions more by 2030. This means the skills for the workforce will also need to change, but there is some good news. AI is expected to create 69 million jobs by 2027. So these projected trends present a question to all of us in this room, right? How do we help as many opportunity youth as possible embrace emerging career paths and develop the skills needed for a rapidly changing job market, right? That's the question we're sitting with. How do we help opportunity youth prepare for these jobs that AI is projected to create? So our next question. According to UNICEF, which key skills are the most desired among young people to help them find work in the next decade? So now we have the opportunity to hear from some young people themselves and their interests for their own skilling. Take a few moments to include your response. Is it hospitality and tourism? I see hospitality and tourism is not getting any love over there. Leadership, analytical thinking and innovation, or information and data processing. All right. The interesting thing to note here is that young people are also aware of these shifts and desire to develop greater leadership skills, improve analytical thinking, and the ability to innovate, alongside of improving their information and data processing skills. Right, so now that we've heard from some opportunity youth, now let's hear from the demand side. Next question. So according to the World Economic Forum and ILO, which skills are the most in demand for the future of work? We've heard from opportunity youth, now let's hear from the market itself and employers. Is it digital literacy, systems thinking, basic machine operation, or analytical thinking? So digital literacy should be there, and that's right. Systems thinking and analytical thinking are needed for the direction that we're heading in. So the key takeaway from these questions is that young people are expressing an interest in the same skills that employers desire. So whether you are a young person in this room, whether you're a funder, whether you're representing a skilling organization or representative of government, we have a responsibility to help young people develop these critical skills. So with that context in mind, I'm really delighted to introduce this dynamic panel. First, we're going to hear from Harith Mohammed, the Vice Chairperson of the Youth Advisory Group in GOYN Mombasa, and we can go back to the slide. Harith's work is focused on building pathways for youth-led advocacy, fostering collaboration, and driving actionable insights that help young people direct their futures. Join me in welcoming Harith, or Chicha, as he's affectionately known. Next, we'll hear from Umar Fall, the Regional Economic Coordinator from GOYN Ches in Senegal. Omar's work focuses on supporting young people with their integration into employment and leading activities with the YAG and the Multi-Sectoral Advisory Group. Join me in welcoming Umar. We'll also be hearing from Gabriela Rodriguez da Garza, the Commissioner for Youth from the government of Rio de Janeiro. Gabriela's career is focused on institutional development, innovation, and the management of social and environmental impact projects. Join me in welcoming Gabriela. And we will be hearing from Ankita Sen, the development practitioner from the GOYN Ramgarh community. Ankita, actually, I asked this of her just yesterday. She was on a train for 48 hours, am I right? To be here. In Ankita's role, she supports initiatives focused on creating economic opportunities, promoting entrepreneurship, and building essential skills for youth in rural areas. So we're really glad that she was able to join us. We're going to start with Harith. Harith, can you start by describing Swahili Pod Hub in Mombasa and how this project relates to our theme of youth-led data collection that informs youth-led action?
Okay, thank you, Amelia. I think I don't need any further introduction, so I'll just go straight to what Swahili Pot is and what we are currently doing. So Swahili Pot Hub Foundation is a non-governmental organization which its main mission or vision is to inspire communities to thrive. So at Swahili Pot Hub Foundation, we have different pathways. And under one of the pathways is the youth engagement pathway, which is anchored under the GOYN Youth Advisory Group. So under Youth Advisory Group, we have 4 mandates, which mainly the first is to co-create and co-design opportunities which are centered to the youth. The second is advising the different pathways to ensure that those opportunities that come to Swahili Pot Hub Foundation are centered to the specific youth. Because again, youth have different segments. I believe there are those youth who drop out from standard 7. There are those who are teenage, pregnancy women. There are those who are reformed drug addicts. So all these opportunities, when come to them, they are different. So our work and our role is to advise them. And another work is advocacy and policy influence, which I'll expound more because this is the initiative that we are currently doing to ensure that advanced policy is being achieved. And lastly is the mobilization. So thank you, Amelia, for your question. So currently the project that we are dealing with is the policy influence. And this project, it came as a result of the narrative of the youth of Mombasa. Historically, the youth of Mombasa have been perceived that they are not interested in matters related to civic engagement and policy influence. So as Swahili Pot Hub Foundation, we wanted to know what is the narrative behind this. So we gathered data from youth to understand them, and one of the many responses was that youths believe that their points or their voice are not being heard at public forums or at policy engagement meetings. So what we decided is we develop a curriculum, and this curriculum is called the Policy Influence Curriculum. We started with training 40 policy champions. They undergo a budget cycle to understand everything in the budget. Where is the budget, at what time, and everything. So in the process, it was a very good initiative, and over a period of 1.5 years, we have trained over 120 policy champions. Now, these policy champions act as advocates. They act as the voice of the voiceless in the community. They come quarterly, they come down, sit, analyze, review the budget document. They know what to ask, when to ask, and how to ask. How has this helped us? It's because they have undergone the training to know matters on budget cycle. When is the time that the government sits down and allocate budget for youth? So from this, they're able to leverage on that data to know what to ask, when to ask, and how to ask. So over a period of 1.5 years, like I've said earlier, we have been able to train 120 youths. And these 120 youths come from across Mombasa, meaning from all sub-counties. Women, men, inclusivity. Everyone is included. Because we believe that when people come together and put ideas together, they can champion for the policy that they want to see. And through this project, they have been able to advocate for what they really want. So that is a nutshell of what we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. 120 policy advocates. That's awesome work. And so next slide, please. We should be seeing the Youth for Data overview. So while that gets up, Umar, I'm going to ask you to provide an overview of the Youth for Data project.
Okay. Thank you, Amelia. And today I'm very happy to be part of this panel. Like you see, Youth for Data was developed to gain to gain a better understanding of the challenges, opportunity you face to finding job, to finding employment in Senegal. So Youth for Data was developed to respond the information gap and also to equip young people with skills, and as they can better understand all the challenges within their communities, and also offer concrete solution. And we can say that one of the important goals were strengthening their capacity has act to being a change member. So by producing reliable, relevant, and local data that save has level for community-driven initiative and effective advocacy. So key actors of this project include youth people, do not include only youth people themselves. Who are selected by for their involvement, community involvement. So we have, and also we have a closure, had the local partner who were with CRS, including CRS, Senegal, and also the global team, the global youth team of CRS, and also the ICT4D. So this contributor helped to inform the program's activities, including the training and sharing data with local stakeholders. So the young people collected data from 99 youth in their community. Of this group, 16.5 are men and 35 are women. The report, the studies report, 55% of young people lack technical training and training that align with market needs, and 47% of young people are interested in finding employment, but they are unaware of of how to identify available job opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. And Gabriela, can you share a brief overview of the Pacto Pela Juventude initiative from Rio?
Good evening, Amelia. Good evening, speakers. Good evening to you all. First of all, I have to say thank you to Melissa Abla, who introduced us to GOYN. Yes, please put your hands together for her, please. She introduced our city hall to GOYN, and it's such a pleasure to be here. It's important to say from where become Pacto pela Juventude. It's a project that became from the meaning of our mayor, Eduardo Paes, that public policy should be made in primarily, to people who need it most, people who are in a vulnerable economic and social situation. So when we had our last Commissioner of Youth in Rio de Janeiro, who was Salvino Oliveira, he built this project with UNESCO, and this project have the meaning of changing people's who in a vulnerable situations lives. How we do this? We do this going to the place where they live. And it's really special in Rio de Janeiro because we are a city with many challenges. And we have most part of our young people, our youth, live in the outskirts, in the slums, in favelas, in the neighborhoods that are really far from the downtown, and it shapes who we are. And our project works as an incubator of new leaders. Those people become new leaders from the place where they live. It's really important. It's a really important change of mind because nowadays they are not just the people for whom we make the public policies. They make this public policy with us, and they can build and do the results and the change that are important in the place where they live from the own point of view of them. And it makes all the difference, especially about data. They are working with us. We have more than 2,000 young people. One of them is here. Maria is here in this moment. He had graduated in our project. And they do this data collection, and it is led by them in their communities. But how we do this? How they know how to do this? We bring to this project a really important research institute, a Brazilian important institute called as Instituto Pereira Passos, and this institute trained these young people. They now have the knowledge and the methodology to do this research. And it's really important because they are a part of the favelas. And people from there are really more open to talk to them. And nowadays, our decision-making points become from these results of this data collection. And we can say that our public policy is recognized in our country, in the Latin America, and many places that we are going through because of our young people. They make all difference in the kind of public policy that we are doing in our city.
Thank you so much, Gabriela. So, Ankita, can you share a bit about GOYN Ramgar's work with youth in rural India?
Thank you for having me here, Amelia, and thank you all. I'm excited to share our project, a study of structural barriers on rural youth, exploring livelihood and aspiration, which focuses on empowering young people to lead data collection in their communities. In our working district of Ramgarh, Jharkhand, we collaborated with a group of young people through GOYN, and we trained them to collect information from their communities, specifically focusing on challenges youth face in education, employment, and support from entrepreneurship. These young people travel to different villages using digital tools to gather stories and facts from their peers. The data they collected painted a clear picture of the barriers young people face, particularly those from marginalized groups like scheduled tribes, scheduled caste, and women. These young people also help in collecting data that shows the lack of local job opportunities, insufficient access to training programs, and social barriers that limit the progress of women and youth with disabilities. One important finding was that many young women struggle with mobility, making it difficult for them to access education or job opportunities. What makes this project special is that it was driven by young people for young people. They didn't just highlight the problems, they were integral in creating the solutions. Based on the data they gathered, we were able to establish youth centers offering jobs, advice, skill training, and support for starting small businesses. We also connected these youth to local government programs and financial resources to help them overcome barrier. By involving young people in data collection process, we were able to gather valuable insights into their aspiration and needs and enabling us to develop more effective solution for the support. It is a testament to power of youth leadership and the impact it can have on community-driven change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankita. Next slide, please. I'm going to start actually back with you, Harith. If you would share a bit about how you were able to use, how were you able to use their research to engage in advocacy and advance policy change?
Okay, like we have seen earlier in our work, we have seen how youth-led data collection directly empowers young people to engage in advocacy and drive policy change in Mombasa. So by leveraging on the data that we have, youth now have been able to understand the county's budget cycle and the budget allocation. Understanding the necessary budget allocation, let's say for an example that a department has been allocated a certain amount of money. Now youths have been able to understand, using this data, how can they hold leaders accountable in order to bring advanced policy in our context. So there are priority areas in the budget allocation. So youths now have been able to say that as youths, this is the project that we want. What you are bringing is not what we want. This is what we want. And as we believe the youth of Mombasa, nothing for us without us. So we believe that if we'll be able to be in the decision process where public participation are being done and we raise our voices, articulating the issues that the youth of Mombasa want. Because you cannot bring a project saying that this project is going to help the youth, while we know that as the youth of Mombasa, this is what we want. So by doing that, we have been able to hold leaders accountable, questioning them when projects or funds are being mismanaged. Like you said that this was going to be completed in this financial year. We are in the next financial year. What are you guys doing? So these are the kind of questions that youth have now been bringing. Like you can see the Gen Z movement which happened in Kenya. It was all brought about people were fed up because we believe that paying taxes is okay. But now we're talking about the taxes you are paying versus the service delivery you are getting. I'm paying for the National Health Insurance Fund. Yes, but I want to go to the hospital and get the service well. But then I'm paying for the taxes, but when I go to the hospital, I don't get that service. You hear that medicine are not around. So these are the things that have been triggering us and to make sure that we question the leaders, we hold them accountable. Our significant outcome is the reviving of the revolving fund, because this year we are talking about transforming youth livelihood pathways to full potential. So what is about the revolving fund? This is a fund that is anchored in the youth in the youth department. It was a fund that was put in the last government, where youths were able to get loans, they were able to access grants in order to start their small business. So this program had stopped. So during our last financial year, we questioned the government and telling them that there's the revolving fund. And we believe that if you bring back this revolving fund, our youths are going to be able to access loan so that they can start their small business to ensure that we have sustainable livelihoods and raise their living standards. Again, yesterday, John Paul said that long-term generational problems need long-term solution. So what are we going to do as youth of Mombasa to ensure that we are transforming youth livelihood pathways to full potential? We have the youth policy. This policy, we have been sitting here from day one, day two, saying that there are no jobs creation. But I believe if we have policies that they are going to govern us, policies that when they are being implemented, they will ensure that jobs creation are there. This policy, when passed in Mombasa, Kenya, it will become a law. I'll expound more. Thank you.
Thank you, Harith. Love that slogan, nothing for us. Did anyone hear at the end of it? Nothing for us? Without us. Absolutely. Umar, can you share what strategies you use to help young people take ownership of the data collection process in Chia, Senegal?
Thank you, Amelia. I think that I may continue in French for better understanding. Donc, ce que j'étais en train de dire, c'est que je vais continuer en français. Bon, you can put your device for the translation. OK, maintenant, merci beaucoup. Donc, moi, je pense que dans le cadre de GOYN, ce que nous avons fait, nous avons vraiment essayé de développer des stratégies pour aider les jeunes à pouvoir connaître ce processus de collecte de données. Donc, et pour cela, ce que nous avons fait, premièrement, nous sommes basés sur l'engagement communautaire du jeune. Donc, ce que nous avons fait, you don't have translation.
Keep going.
OK. Ce que nous avons fait en premier, c'est que nous nous sommes basés sur l'engagement communautaire. Donc, nous avons trouvé des jeunes qui sont déjà engagés, qui sont déjà très actifs dans leur communauté et qui sont spécialement membres des YAC de soit Thiès ou Mbour. Thiès and Mbour is two different departments in Senegal, in Thiès. So, nous nous sommes basés sur ça pour prendre ces jeunes-là qui étaient déjà actifs et qui connaissaient déjà les problèmes de leurs différentes localités. Donc, l'autre stratégie, c'est qu'on s'est appesanti sur la formation intense et pratique. C'est que nous savons qu'il y avait des jeunes qui n'avaient pas forcément le niveau requis pour utiliser les outils numériques ou bien pour utiliser ce que nous appelons les outils de collecte de données. Donc, ce que nous avons fait, c'est des séances de formation. Des séances de formation en termes de soft skills, parce que nous les avons appuyés. Tout ce qui est politique de sauvegarde, nous avons fait des formations sur ça. Nous avons aussi fait des formations sur pratique, sur comment utiliser les tablettes, comment utiliser le logiciel qu'on avait déployé pour faire ces enquêtes-là. Donc, et ces enquêtes aussi, ces formations nous ont permis d'orienter les jeunes sur la conception de questionnaires. Et d'ailleurs, sur cette étude-là, tout ce qui est fait, toutes les questions ont été développées par les jeunes. Donc, toute la stratégie, toutes les questions. Et on a impliqué certes les acteurs, mais les jeunes ont été au cœur et ont développé toute qui est stratégie concernant le déploiement du questionnaire. L'autre stratégie, c'est l'utilisation d'un logiciel accessible. Donc, dans le cadre de cette étude, nous avons utilisé le logiciel Comcare, qui était assez compréhensible, assez facile pour les jeunes, qu'on puisse les orienter, qu'ils puissent recueillir les données nécessaires. Et La dernière stratégie qu'on a utilisée, c'est la mise en valeur vraiment des résultats avec l'écosystème. Donc, après l'étude, on a fait une première analyse ensemble avec les jeunes. Après cela, nous avons tenu vraiment à partager ces résultats avec les membres du MSAC. Donc, et cela a permis aux jeunes de vraiment développer leurs compétences parce qu'encore une fois, ils étaient au cœur de tout le processus. Donc, ils ont développé le questionnaire, ils ont fait les enquêtes et en même temps, ils ont aussi partagé les données avec les jeunes. Donc, ce sont ces stratégies-là qu'on a utilisées pour permettre aux jeunes de vraiment maîtriser tout ce qui est processus de collecte de données. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Umar. I appreciate that emphasis on both the soft skills training as well as the technical training, including knowing how to use CommCare and then also how to deploy the survey. So just really briefly, would love for each of you to take a moment and share how each of your, actually I'm going to come back to that question. I want to ask Gabriella before I go to that question, specifically from the viewpoint of government, what is the value of youth-led data collection?
Amelis, it's interesting you're talking about this because yesterday, while John Powell was making his speech, I was thinking that it is exactly what we are trying and we are doing when we have those young people leading this research and this data collection, because it's their point of view that are building, are making, are shaping our city point of view, and is the same meaning that we say, nothing about us without us. And they are doing this in really, it's not just a speech. And they are belonging because they are co-creating with us. They are designing this with us. I can't say that nowadays we are building a public policy for youth that came just from the mayor minds or my minds or the last commissioner minds. It's becoming from our young people. And it's really empowering them because our meaning is that they should become our leaders. Not just our future leaders, because they have to be leaders now. They have to learn how to become leaders. And as they are doing this, it shapes their own projects. Because in Pacto pela Juventude, they have to do something to change their communities. They have to build a business project. They have to make a social project, something that goes and see, this is a problem from where we live, so we have to resolve this. And through this, with this research, with this data collection, they can understand what is necessary for the place where they live. This motherhood in youth that you said that you see in their presentation became from this data collection because they saw that it was something that has happened a lot in our favelas. And yes, some days ago we are talking about a really special thing that most of women that are mother alone in cities, in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, most of them they are alone, creating their children. Most of us are black women, and it is something that's special. It's a special point that we have to understand when we are building public policies in our cities. But we just know it with this point of view because of them. So I guess it's in this way that is so important and empower for our government, have our youth leading this project.
Thank you, Gabriella. The last question that I'll ask before we open it up to the audience, so I hope the audience is thinking about a question you want to pose to the panel, but really briefly, could you just discuss specifically how the initiative that you're working on connects to and helps young people access sustainable livelihoods? I'm going to invite Ankita to start.
Thank you. In our program, in rural India, Ramgarh, we are supporting young people skills that help them find jobs or start their own businesses, both of which are important for stable future. For starting businesses, we focus on practical skills like managing money, solving problems, and planning businesses. These skills help young people spot needs in their community, come up with business ideas, and manage resources well. So they can create small businesses that meet local demands. We are also supporting young people job skills that are needed for formal employment, such as communication, digital skills, and professional growth. These skills are important for jobs in areas like farming, healthcare, and administration, where there's a need for skilled workers. By giving them these basic skills, we are helping them get a steady job that lead long-term growth. One of our main method of teaching data collection and analysis, which is tailored to rural area. This skill helps young people to collect and understand data about their community's needs. So they can be part of local decision making and bring change to their areas. We also provide mentorship and support from peers to help build new opportunities. Our approach is to prepare young people not just with technical skills, but also with right mindset to create sustainable development in their communities, whether by starting their own businesses or securing meaningful jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankita. Gabriella, the same question to you. How is your initiative helping young people access sustainable livelihoods?
If we think about it, this shapes all their own lives. And it's important we think that government should be a point between them and the opportunities. And when we give to them this knowledge, when they are in contact with an institute as Pereira Passos, and they know this kind of methodology, they can empower themselves to the market and to themselves to build their own projects, on their own business. So this is our main point of view. This is our meaning that how this is giving to them opportunities to have jobs, to change their lives. And nowadays, through the Pacto pela Juventude, we are in contact with many organizations and entrepreneurs and business that are in our country. And all of them are really invited to become with us to give to those people opportunities. Because now they are not in the beginning. Now they know how to do those things that are required by the market. So we empowered them. Now they are prepared to face and to build their own opportunities to do things.
Thank you, Gabriella. Umar, the same question to you. How is Youth for Data helping young people access sustainable livelihoods?
Merci beaucoup, Amelia. Moi, je pense que avec le UFO Data, les jeunes ont pu acquérir beaucoup de connaissances. Et ces connaissances-là les ont beaucoup aidés à pouvoir se vendre, à avoir un profil très intéressant qui pourrait les permettre de prétendre à un emploi. Donc, et sur ça, je peux déjà citer le renforcement de capacité, les renforcements de capacité que nous avons fait en tout ce qui est collecte de données, mais aussi en tout ce qui est outils numériques. Donc ça les permet aujourd'hui de pouvoir diriger des projets de collecte de données. Donc ils ont déjà acquis assez de compétences pour vraiment aller vers des organisations, aller voir ce qu'ils recherchent, en tout cas des collecteurs de données. Ils peuvent être aujourd'hui se placer comme collecteurs de données dans n'importe quel projet aujourd'hui au Sénégal. Donc ils ont déjà une avance parce qu'ils maîtrisent l'outil Comcare. Et l'outil Comcare, au Sénégal, on l'utilise pas très souvent dans le cadre de nos enquêtes. Et eux, ils ont eu la chance de vraiment faire une formation pratique sur cela. Et au-delà de ça, ils ont pu bénéficier, avec bien sûr l'aide du Global Team de CRS, tout ce qui est politique de sauvegarde de données. Donc, ils savent comment conduire les collectes de données. Ils savent comment parler à une personne. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut prendre, qu'est-ce qu'il ne faut pas prendre. Et ces compétences-là, c'est très valeureux. Ça peut vraiment les permettre de pénétrer le monde du travail en passant par les organisations. Beaucoup d'organisations internationales interviennent au Sénégal, à Thiès, à Dakar et dans les autres régions. Et ça pour vraiment les permettre de pouvoir se percer ce marché de travail. Au-delà de ça aussi, il y a le fait qu'ils ont de l'expérience pratique, une expérience pratique dans les différentes communautés. Donc, et ça traduit un engagement communautaire. Vu comment est-ce qu'on a conçu le projet, UFO Data peut permettre à ces jeunes-là de dire que moi je me suis engagé communautairement, j'ai développé tel projet, je suis allé de telle communauté, j'ai eu aujourd'hui des données qui peuvent orienter les politiques stratégiques de cette communauté pour l'emploi des jeunes. Donc ça, c'est un acquis. Ça peut les permettre aussi de se positionner. Au-delà de ça aussi, il y a cette expérience-là qui est très valeureuse, donc qu'ils peuvent vraiment mettre aux avant de la scène. Et le plus important aussi, ils ont pu développer un réseautage avec les autres acteurs du département de Thiès. Aujourd'hui, on sait que les acteurs du MSAC, par exemple, nous à Thiès, nous avons le secteur privé, nous avons les OSC, mais aussi nous avons tout ce qui est structure étatique. Et donc, ces jeunes-là ont pu avoir l'opportunité de déjà concevoir, proposer le questionnaire aux acteurs, échanger avec eux, mais aussi présenter les résultats de l'étude. Leur dire que nous avons conçu telle étude de A à Z, maintenant voici les résultats. Ils ont eu à présenter ces résultats-là. Donc, et durant ces séances, il y avait la présence de beaucoup d'acteurs qui peuvent vraiment avec eux nouer un réseautage afin de pouvoir percer ce monde du travail. Donc, je pense qu'aujourd'hui, UFO Data a été quelque chose de très essentiel pour les jeunes, en tout cas des YAG, de Thiès et de Mbour, pour les donner assez de moyens pour se positionner, mais aussi pour pouvoir, comme vous le dites, avoir des moyens de subsistance vraiment durables. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks, Umar. And finally, Harith, how is your project connecting young people to sustainable livelihoods?
Thank you so much, Amelia. Like I've said earlier, we have the youth policy, and I believe for generational problems, we need long-term solution. We just don't want to give youths jobs which are not enacted in a policy or in a bill. So with this youth policy, when passed, it will become a law. And when the law is there, people follow the law, right? So with this youth policy, it will create an avenue where youths can be able to get job opportunities in the county government. That's one. Two, this youth policy, again, it's going to help youth to access loans and funds. It's also going to create a way where youths can live and coexist with county officials. This is a long-term solution. We are looking at empowering the youth, also being at the table, making decisions for themselves to ensure that sustainable livelihoods are attained. That is the big project that we are currently working on, and when this passes, we ensure that we'll create economic opportunities for the youth of Mombasa. Another project is the Revolving Youth Fund. This Revolving Youth Fund is where a youth is given a loan and returned back But with this loan now, it enables him to start his small business. It enables him to start, maybe he had a business and it was about to collapse. It gives him the power to continue with his business, improving his livelihood. And lastly, there is the Mombasa Yangu. Mombasa Yangu is an initiative which was started by the county government after ups and downs that there are no jobs in Mombasa. So this Mombasa Yangu has currently employed over 3,000 youths in Mombasa. And they are not just employed, but they are employed according to their skills. So it's not only helping them to get money, but it also helps them to get real experience of the work they are doing, and also training them into the careers of their choice. So with all this that we are doing, we want to ensure that youth strive and sustainable livelihood is improved in Mombasa County. Youth power! You say power. Youth power! Youth power! Youth power! We want to see a world where youths are at the table, where youths are making informed decisions. And all this is being when we come together. We have to be there. We are not supposed to be othered. We are supposed to be belonging. And that's what we are currently doing. So I want to finish by saying that youths are the leaders of today and not tomorrow. Because the tomorrow of yesterday is today. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. On that note, we're going to open the floor to questions. I'm going to ask, I see there's a question here. I see two questions.
This question is more for the adult allies in here. We live in patriarchal, colonial, and post-colonial systems where often the only research that is validated is Western research or research from Western institutions. And so what are we as adult allies doing to validate the research that the young people are doing? These skills that they're gaining, often they produce research, but institutions don't listen to that research that they're producing. So how are we as adult allies really elevating and making sure that their work is actually valid in places of power and seen as valid?
Great question. I can start, and then Gabriella, I'm going to pass it to you. Yeah. So where I sit at CRS, my focus is monitoring and evaluation. And your question, Gabriella, is spot on, right? Because often research from American or UK-led firms is considered research, right? And so that's part of the reason why CRS was interested in piloting this project in Senegal, is because we want to turn that on its head, right? We want to challenge this notion that research starts with UK or American firms, and that only research that we gather is valid. Instead, this project explores the idea and really challenges this relationship of thinking about data collection as a process of extracting knowledge rather than working with communities to help them develop the capacity to ask questions that matter to them. Right, so this is really central to why we support it and really are interested in this approach, and that's why we piloted this initiative in Senegal. Do you want to add on anything from your perspective, Gabriella?
I guess just in the same way, each war, one of the things that we really thinking about, how people will look at for this data that they collect and say, oh, it's okay, we can use it. Because of this, we bring Pereira Passos Institute with us, because it is recognized in worldwide, and the world is how it is. So what we have to do is to give to our young people opportunities to go to these relevant institutes, because it's important to them not just do a research by their minds without thinking what's necessary to people look and say it's a collector with methodology and all those steps necessary. So I guess the thing that we did was this. let's make this connection between them and the institute to people look at what they are doing and say it's a available and relevant thing.
Thank you. And I saw one other question here.
Hello. My question is regarding many urban slum communities in around globe have vast diversity, right? So means that data needs to localize, highly localized, but this creates challenges sometimes. You have to integrate the data in time to analyze the data, entire data sets. So the time tag between data collection and visible outcomes sometimes differs lots of times. So what are the major solutions to minimize the action outcome gap between data collection and visible outcomes?
Thank you for this question. So in thinking about the data collection process, how do you reduce the amount of time it takes to collect the data to then be able to use it, right? So there's usually a lot of time involved in collecting the data, analyzing it, to then be able to use it. So how do you reduce that time so that you can make use of the data quickly?
I think now we are in the world of digital. So, and with technology, things are advancing, right? So I think the time to collect the data and to store the data and to ensure that you make informed decision, it will take you not longer time because it depends on the aspect that you are looking at. Let's say, example, what is your area of interest? What kind of data are you looking at and what do you want to tackle? You start there. So first you have to understand what is the kind of data or type of the information. First, you have to understand what is the type of data or information that you want. By understanding that, then you take the possible avenues in collecting that information from different people, putting it together to ensure that all the information that you have collected, all the perspective that you are looking for are matching according to what you want. So let's say approximately you can use, it depends on the work that you are doing, but mostly for a shorter period of time you can use, let's say 3 months. Does that answer your question?
See, this is a very general scenario, but there is a lots of people are not aware about data, the lack of resources, technical advancements, the devices we are using. It's not the all time everyone has resources and accessibility to data and other things.
Ankita, do you want to address that?
So, answering both the question which Gabriela asked and second question also. So, if you are going to start something, like I'm saying something like even this GOYN work also, so you can take a step back, and no doubt data collection it's the process, it is very time-taking process, but you can take a step back and there's a lot of institution and organization you can collaborate. Everybody doesn't have expertise of like data collection itself is a very huge thing. We can always go and collaborate with the institution which have this expertise of data collection. We can collaborate and we can customize it according to what we want. And no doubt, when we talk about rural areas, there are a lot of challenges. Like the main challenge is internet issue. We prefer offline options, etc. So my suggestion is always this, like collaboration always work, and getting data from the local person, teaching them the method will always get you the correct data. Thank you.
Yes, Umar. Thank you, Ankita.
Yeah, je voudrais juste y ajouter quelque chose. Je pense que c'est très important quand on veut aller vers un projet de collecte de données, de miser sur une bonne stratégie. Et cela implique un planning. C'est-à-dire avant tout, avant de commencer ce que vous voulez faire, que ce soit les sessions de formation, la collecte de données, tout cela, il faut avoir une très bonne planification. Dans le cadre, nous, de notre projet UFO Data, nous avons fait une planification incluant tout ce qui est recherche, tout ce qui est formation des jeunes. Et la durée de la collecte de données était sur 10 jours. 10 jours. On a impliqué 15 membres du YAG qui ont collecté des données pendant 10 jours. Et ces 10 jours, c'est durant ces 10 jours qu'on a eu 1499 enquêtés. Donc l'objectif c'était 1500, donc on a eu 1499 enquêtés. Juste pour vous dire que ça peut ne pas prendre beaucoup de temps. Donc il suffit juste d'avoir une très bonne planification. Donc c'est vrai que nous, on a débuté très tardivement à cause des élections présidentielles du Sénégal. Mais normalement, on pouvait faire l'essentiel du projet, the training session, the data collection, and also the rapport and the result, the sharing of result in 3 months. That's what we're planning, and I know that it is possible to do this for 3 months. The most important is to have a good planification for the time that you want to do your studies. Thank you.
It's really helpful, right? This importance, this emphasis on the importance of planning, right? You wouldn't start a project without having that lead time, as Umar is mentioning, in terms of training, but then you also have to plan for the things that are unexpected, right? Like the election in Senegal and that causing us to need to wait until the climate was more amenable to this sort of activity also was a part of the sort of what we encountered when trying to move forward with the project. So even in terms of data collection as a project, you have to have the same intention around planning and building in time for the things that are unexpected. That's a really great question. Other questions? I think we have time for at least 2 more. Let's try to get one from the back. Thank you, Lightwell. Okay, we have one in front then. Thank you.
Hello. My question is specifically to Ankita, but anyone who wants to indulge into this question is welcome. So in today's time, I think that the awareness amongst all of us, when I say us, I mean youth, is very important. Not that they don't have it, but also to make them actively political. To make them, to create spaces for them where they can have these political discussions. Like you said, certain communities are, from your data collection, you also figured out that certain communities are the ones that we can see are backwards, right? So all of our training programs or all of our livelihood programs are focused on very interpersonal growth. Of course, it results into a larger growth, but it still remains very personal to me. Like, I am successful because I could get out of my slum community and then I will translate. But when will I start asking questions to the structure? When will I start asking why was I here in the first place is the thing. So how important do you think it is for the youth to be more political, more assertive, and how important is it for organizations like these to create spaces where these political discussions can take place, understanding that the situation might not be suitable for it, but still how do we negotiate with the system then?
Thank you. I want to pose that to Gabriella, and then Ankita, as for you. Oh, Ankita, you want to start? Go ahead.
Okay. So when we talk about rural India, when we talk about Jharkhand context, Ramgarh context, so in our community, youth have certain needs. We can call it needs of hierarchy. So right now, on the top, there is livelihood. Once they will achieve this, I think when are we talking about advocacy, it comes only after when we achieve our need of hierarchies, and every communities have their different need of hierarchy. So once livelihood gained, one generation is improved, their livelihood improved. After that, second stage comes to the advocacy. We work on agency. We work we work with youth on their agency, how to create their agency, so that they can talk about their self, they can express themselves. So time to time, we have this different kind of training sessions so that they start questioning things, they start asking question, okay, they start expressing themselves. So it's a whole process, like us only, we can express ourselves because we got opportunities and privileges. So in our community, we are in the process so that they start advocating for themselves and for their communities. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I answer her?
Yes.
I think what I got from your question was, how can youth involve them on matters regarding to youth policy, right? Like, how can youth be there? So I think us as youth, we have failed. Like, we have been shunning away on matters regarding politics and governance. By shunning away, them leaders, they are taking this as an avenue to pass things that they want. It's high time as youths to make sure that we connect each other, like, matters regarding policy and governance. What are you doing as a person to ensure that other youths are involved in that? So us in Mombasa, we have developed that program, training 120 youths, and these youths now are policy champions, going ahead to train other youths in their grassroots levels. So the question is, us as youth, we start to be there at the decision-making process. Let's look at example of our friends in Tanzania. We gave them the Equity Leadership Program. How have they turned the Equity Leadership Program to make informed decision? Now you can see that in Tanzania, earlier, there were no youths taking leadership position. Now we have youth standing up, taking leadership roles. This is what we want. Let's not sit down saying that the government is doing this or doing that. Us as youth, we have to take these roles into making sure that we are in the leadership. Example, yesterday I was talking to one of my friends from Pune, here in India. He told me that it's very sad that there are no youth when it comes to the election. And I asked him, what is the reason? He told me that we shun away in matters regarding to politics. Now is your time. Now is your chance. Stand up, take those seats. You fail now, stand up next time, and let's sure that as youth take spaces, not only in the local election, but even in the national election. Youth power!
Thank you for that. Last slide. I'm just going to go to the last slide. And the final thought really is, in thinking about how we help young people after hearing these really powerful reflections on the work that's happening, right? Our challenge and the sort of charge is for us to be consider how this approach can be applied to a range of challenges, including gender-based violence, othering, which we heard about yesterday with John Howell. Also, financial access and inclusion was also discussed. So how do we take this approach to better understand those sorts of challenges? And then I'll just address this last point because we've already talked about the second one a bit. But really, this charge is how do we help young people develop these skills to gather data that effectively allows them to better understand their own communities and influence the systems that impact their lives while also supporting their employability. So on that note, I'm just going to go to the final slide and just say a round of thanks to Petula for the idea for this panel, Joelle for all of your support, Sarah as well for the input, Samir, Lalit for the tech support, you, the audience, for engaging with us, and to all of our terrific panels. Thank you.